So in this video, I will show you a time lapse of the unboxing and the initial setup and installation. So it took a couple of weeks for the TR8 to arrive, and they also included the triple monitor mount. Now I'm going to be making another unboxing setup video for that, so that won't be included in today's video. Today is just going to be the TR8 system. As mentioned, I was also sent the rally style racing seat. There's also a GT version 2, which is actually intended for the slightly slimmer sim fan. So I decided early on, God only knows why, but I decided that I was only going to be using the tools that were provided with the TR8 for this particular build. Any sane person will be utilizing an electric screwdriver set and a ratchet set to set this up. On the website, they reckon you can put this together in 30 minutes. I guarantee you, if you had an electric screwdriver or something like that, then that is definitely a possibility. It took me a little bit longer than that, and I made a few mistakes along the way, but I'll discuss all the important elements of the build as we go through it. In the top left-hand corner of the screen is a timer. This will let you know just how long the overall build took me. So I decided to open the new and improved fiberglass rally seat first in order to free up some space, because although it's very light, it's in the biggest box out of all of them. This fiberglass rally style seat is of the highest quality. It's very, very light, as I mentioned, but it's also absolutely rock solid. It's got faultless stitching throughout, great quality textures all over, and really comfy padding. The padding is ergonomically designed for extended periods of use, and I can confirm already that this is definitely true. The high density foam is also held in place by strong Velcro, which means that it can be removed and cleaned if necessary. Now, the weight restrictions for this particular seat, and I presume the rig itself, is up to 160 kilograms or 352 pounds, 25 stone. Recommended for waist sizes up to 40 inches. The GT version alternative is only recommended up to 38-inch waists, but again, it still rocks in at 25 stone. Okay, so this first box contains the triple monitor mount. That's a very heavy box, and that unboxing and setup video will be coming after this one later on. So there are just two main boxes then for the TR8 Mark III, which comes with a single monitor mount. The smaller box contains the wheel mount arm and had a small screw inside, which you can see in the bag here. So if I open up the wheel mount here, you can see that it has some really nice TR logo styling on it. It looks and it feels like a premium build. It is of the highest quality. And you can notice here that all the screws are pre-installed. That definitely makes things easier during the build. Those two plates there are for mounting the seat to. And although you barely saw it in the video, that bag contained all of the tools that are included for you to build this. This is the front section of the TR8, and it is weighty. Most of the weight, in fact, is at the front of the TR8 Mark III, even more so once it's got the triple monitor stand attached. So every single part was packaged very nicely in polystyrene, no scratches or dents that I spotted. And you can see that the TR8 Mark III comes in these three main sections. So the TR8 V3, once fully installed and connected, is between 128 centimeters and 138 centimeters in length and 62 centimeters wide. It's a solid framework with no obstructions between your legs and no wheel side supports that are required either. It has a low ground clearance with hard wood rubber floor protectors, and it's finished in a 2-inch or 51mm high-grade steel tubing. The gross weight of the entire frame alone is 49.8 kilograms, which is 110 pounds or 7.8 stone. It comes with a left or right side gear shift mounter. I need to discuss that in more detail later on. And it comes with a rather incredible 5-year warranty. They really do have a lot of faith in their rig, and I'm telling you what, I think that is fully justified. Immediately here, I have made a mistake. I've installed the seat mounts backwards. Now, that's nothing to do with the instruction manual. The instruction manual was very clear about which way it is. I looked at it, I understood what I had to do, I knew which way around it had to go on, and I still got it back to front. That's down to me, that's not down to the instruction at all. Either way, I did notice it later on and I reversed it, and that maybe adds 5 minutes to the build time. I think it's possible to build this in 30 minutes, as I said, but you know, I had my rock classics on very loud, and I was just taking my time and enjoying the build. So in order to connect the rear and the front chassis together, you will need to remove all of the screws, and be careful because inside there could be some jagged metal shards. I noticed I put my fingers in there just to see what it felt like inside for some reason, and there were definitely some sharp metal shards in there, so just be careful with that. Each connecting tube had a plastic cover on the end of it in order to protect it, no doubt. I used a teaspoon for whatever reason in order to help me remove them, and most of them came out super easy, except for one, which simply wouldn't budge, and I had to spend quite a lot of time trying to get this out. Now, I didn't use a screwdriver because I didn't want to scratch or damage the paintwork on the chassis, and I thought a spoon would be a safer option. But this one stopper here just wouldn't come out for some unknown reason. It did eventually, it just needed a little bit of extra effort in comparison to all the others. So the two sections slot together super easily. I did have some alignment issues when I was trying to screw in the top screw. I found that tightening the outside screws slowly ensured that all the screws aligned correctly, and then I was able to tighten the top screw without any issue at all. But yeah, there is a bit of patience required in order to get the alignment quite right, it seems. Once everything is connected, this is incredibly weighty. Dragging it along a carpet is absolutely not advised. The nice rubber feet would, I think, dig into the carpet and possibly cause some damage. So if you're on carpet, you either need to whack it on some sliders or lift it and move it as I have done here. Probably the sliders are the better option. I'm highlighting here the new and improved footplate section. I will discuss that in more detail later. This is the version 3 of the TR8 Mach III, and numerous strengthening alterations have been made off of the back of other user reviews. Now, one of my favourite reviewers is 𝐒𝐕 Garage. I'm sure you know who that is. If you don't, definitely go check him out. He's worth a look. And he did an excellent review of the TR8 version 1 or version 2. I'm not entirely sure which version it was. It was about 2 years ago that he made it, so I'm thinking it's probably version 1. And he really sort of allowed me to focus on this part of the build, but I'll discuss all of that a bit more later because I'm going to remove the footplate for easy access of installation, and I'll come back to that later when I'm installing my wheel and my foot pedals and all of my sim rig gear. Now, the wheel mount bracket section is another area where a previous reviewer has run into problems. I was looking for any kind of damage during transit because on his particular build he could see that something heavy had been put on it, and it had slightly distorted the shape of the bracket here. Now, I couldn't see any such damage on my system, but I still had some significant alignment issues when trying to align the screws and tighten it. Now, you will notice that they've got these really nice stylish silver collars on all of the joints. They're mostly cosmetic, I think, and they do look really nice, but they also serve to reinforce the bind. It was an area I was expecting to have some difficulties with. I didn't rush it. Instead, I just kept adjusting the seated position until it just somehow sat properly. The cat helped a bit, maybe, and the other side was installed without issue at all. And I think going around and installing the other side might well have helped with the alignment on the left-hand side. Anyway, I eventually got there by using a bit of downward pressure and using the collar in order to help keep it all in place. And that is fundamentally the base of the TR8 Mach III. Now I will install the adjustable wheel mount plate itself. This is the new and improved wheel plate for the version 3. It is fully adjustable and it's strong enough for a direct drive wheel. I can confirm that, having used this for a little bit already, this is absolutely rock solid, and it really does make even my G29, which is a very basic, simple wheel, it just makes it feel so much better because there is zero movement in this at all. Once you've got it set in the position you want it, it feels so solid. It's unbelievably solid. I am going to be getting a direct drive wheel to test out that even further, but already my suspicions are that it's not going to be a problem at all. Now, unfortunately, this is the second mistake from me. I did fail to notice there were 2 screws on the inside of the wheel mount section, so I had to remove the adjustable wheel mount plate and take them out before I could reinstall it. So I quickly released the clamp, I removed the 2 screws that were underneath, and I put it all back together pretty quickly. So that's another 5 to 10 minutes of time that could be saved here easily. Unfortunately for me, on one occasion, it did slip out from my grasp and it did scratch the paintwork. Frustrated is not the word, but unfortunately, that has happened. I was quite surprised that it happened as easily as it did, but that's an area you'll want to be taking a little bit of care and attention with. So the adjustability provided by the wheel mounting plate looks to be decent enough, and it will accommodate almost any sitting position for any height of player. I have read numerous reviews and reports, and I know that people of my height, I'm 6 foot tall, I know that people who are 6'5" have managed to fit quite comfortably in the seat now. It's fair to say that they did struggle to find their perfect sitting position, but they did find it eventually. It is very adjustable, and I'll talk more about this when I put the wheel on. But yeah, the ability to adjust all of the parameters are very, very good indeed. So yes, it's excellent. And my mother, who is quite short, 5'2", she sat in there and she was quite happy. My daughter, who's 9, a bit of a stretch. She had to point her toes a little bit, but just to emphasize the fact that from 9 years old to 6'5", you're going to be able to find a suitable sitting position with the wheel without too much difficulty. So moving back to the seat now, I realized pretty quickly that the seating mounts were facing the wrong way. They would work like this technically, but the seat would be sloping forward instead of backwards, and as I was looking for a sort of bucket seat position, I obviously had to swap them round. Once reversed, the seat slips easily into the mounts, and there's a bit of balancing required in order to get the first couple of screws into place, but once they're in, first couple of bolts into place, but once they're in, it's straightforward enough. And with the premium seat sliders, I highly recommend you grab that, because getting in and out of the seat is made so much easier with that, and also you get that additional adjustability. So this constitutes the base of the TR8 Mark III, the central chassis, if you will, and we still have the shifter mount and the included single monitor bracket to attach. But you can see already what the level of quality is with this and what sort of size it's going to be. So let's press on with the single monitor mount, shall we? So we're going to move on to installing the single monitor bracket. Now this bracket comes as part of the TR8 basic chassis. So you will get this when you order your TR8 system. Now I'm going to save you the pain that I went through trying to undo the bolts that hold this clamp together using just the Allen key provided was an absolute nightmare. No matter how much I loosened them, I couldn't get them to the point where I could undo them with my fingers. So underneath the TR8 there is a single screw, and this again needs to be undone with an Allen key, and that's what stops it from rotating round. Now it seems perfectly solid once it's installed, but there is a part of me that feels like and thinking, you know, if for some reason the bolt magically breaks or undoes itself, it's just going to swing that monitor around. I doubt it will ever happen. It's just something that inherently is within me, a fear, if you will. So it's a little bit tricky to get it all installed, because obviously it wants to rotate, so getting that bottom bolt in first is probably the quickest and easiest way. Once that's installed, it's easier to sit the top part of the bracket on and do that up. But again, using the Allen key is an absolute nightmare. So you can see here that I've switched over to using a screwdriver with an attachment on the end. That made my life a hell of a lot easier, I can tell you. So the single mounting plate that attaches to the back of the monitor just goes straight in. You can see it's got a little shelf on the back side for a console to be added to the system, which is quite nice. I'd like to see that made slightly bigger, because I think it's strong enough to take the weight of a PC. Maybe if there was a strap that you could, like a rubber strap that you could strap over the top to stop it from falling off, I think that would be an excellent addition. And when I put the triple monitor screen system up, when I make that video, you'll see just how useful this bit of kit could be potentially. It's not at the moment, but it could be with a few tweaks, but that's for another video. So one last thing to mention really is that little screw that I found in the box right at the beginning of the video, that was for this monitor mount, and it goes into the back of the monitor stand, and it's meant to grip the inner tube and stop it from twisting or moving out or whatever. No matter what I did, I couldn't seem to get that tight enough to actually grip it, but that's not to say that it doesn't work properly. I couldn't pull the tube back out, but it had a bit of rotation on it, as you can see. I've restarted the clock, because this one little bit took probably as long, if not longer, than the whole rest of the build put together. Now, I emphasize the fact that I was using the Allen keys still. Had I have had access to a ratchet system or an electronic tightening device, then easily this would have cut down the amount of time. But doing this with just an Allen key is a bloody nightmare. To get the right angle and purchase on it is really, really tough. So yeah, it took me an awfully long time to get this installed, and I'm not proud of the fact that it took so long, but I am proud of the fact that I kept at it, because if you want a challenge, try doing this with just an Allen key. So once you've got the mounting points attached to the TR8 chassis, putting the actual arm itself on is a lot easier. That part of the build is not really a big problem, but that initial setup, that initial attempt to get it built is a real pain in the arse. And there you have it, a fully tightened, fully ready to go chassis. All we need to do now is add a wheel, is to add the wheel and pedals and the monitor. Now you'll notice at the end of this video that the wheel and the pedals are magically already on the system. I'm going to put another video up about the attaching and setup and first thoughts of those. But yeah, I will show you some footage of what it's like to use with the monitor attached. And if we just go to the point of attaching the monitor, you can see that it's quite a straightforward process. Now I would highly recommend that you take the actual mount section out of the TR8, place it onto the back of the monitor and attach it that way, rather than what I did, because I was tired at this point. I've been building it for about, I don't know, 4 hours, 5 hours, something like that. Instead of trying to balance it and screw it in, it's much easier to take it out and put it onto the back of the monitor, obviously. That's what I wish I'd done, but to be honest with you, it worked the way I did it, and it saved me a lot of time trying to take out and remove the monitor stand, as it were. It feels secure, it feels solid, it's in place, there's no real issues with it. Once it's installed, it's in a good position, it's at a good height. This is a 27-inch monitor that I have. It's got 240 Hz, it's only 1080p. I do have a 4K 49-inch monitor, but unfortunately this single stand is only officially capable of taking up to 47-inch monitors or televisions. So I was unable to put my big 3D monitor or TV screen on there, which is a bit of a shame. There is an additional monitor stand bracket that you can buy that allows you to put on bigger monitors, and I may well go down that route. I don't know for sure. To be honest with you though, because I have the triple screen system, what I really want to do is invest £1,000 into 3 monitors and really get that full immersive triple screen surround sound system on the go. I'm very much looking forward to that.